Welcome to Kranky Live, the show where bold minds meet real talk. This isn't your average sports or news show. It's where we break down sports, culture, and controversy with facts, fire, and fearless honesty. Here, truth cuts through the noise, and hype gets exposed. From football to track and field, from world issues to local debates, we ask the tough questions, speak without fear, and go deeper than the headlines. We don't follow the crowd, we set the trend. While others recycle the same tired takes, we bring fresh insight, unfiltered analysis, and bold perspectives. No echo chambers, no puppet talk, just real conversation for people who think for themselves. Listen with your brain, not just your ears. Think critically, question boldly, and speak freely. This is Kranky Live, where reason rules the mic and truth always win. Come on, let's get into it. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining the Kranky Live journey sports program. Well, sometimes we go beyond sports. We are focused on fairness, honesty, integrity. We believe in egalitarianism, and most importantly, believe in always trying to do the right thing. May not always accomplish that objective, but it's something that we aspire to do. Welcome. This is the Premier League, I'm going to call it prediction show. And it's that time of the year again. Now, I find this time interesting, actually, because this is a time where a number of wives and girlfriends and moms are not very happy with their significant other, because you know how that goes. If you live in the States, you live in Jamaica, 7:30, 6:30 in the morning, you may start watching football until way in the afternoon. And everything stops at that point in time, which makes it very, very challenging. And this goes on from now, from this week, from tomorrow, frankly, even though tomorrow's game is in the afternoon, until May next year. So the only window you have, in a lot of instances, is the period between when the season finishes, sometime in mid-May, and this time of the year. Otherwise, if you're a football aficionado, if you love this sport and you love the game, then you're going to spend a lot of time watching it. Drew Ross, good evening. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you being here, sir. And we have a lot to talk about as it relates to the football. Quite a bit to talk about. And a really good agenda. So let me just put the agenda up for this evening. These are items we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the title race. We're going to talk about the predictions. And want to hear your predictions. Who we think will be making the top six. The relegation battle, which is always as fascinating, sometimes even more fascinating than the title race, because the title race always seems to be over pretty early. Man City winning, Liverpool winning. The last, 5 or 6 have gone that way. Nobody else seems to be in the mix. The Golden Boot winner, people like Salah always do well in this department. I think this year should be really interesting. What is the best transfer of the season? We'll go through some of the numbers, some of the movements, and talk through who we believe will be at the end of the year best value for money and the best transfer for the year, both from a team perspective and individual perspective. Manager who may under pressure, or managers under pressure, probably should more say, because there'll be a few of them, because you know how that goes. And last but not least, young player of the season. There are a number of youngsters, and young player of the season are individuals who are under 21 and born as of January 1st, 2024. I'm sorry, not 2024, 2004. 2024, they still be like 1+ year old. But January, think about it, January 2004, where were you? Wow. And you're playing Premier League football. So it should be a good discussion, actually. But we're going to start at the top. The reigning Premier League champions, that's Liverpool. The Liverpool who hadn't won a Premier League title for years until they won on the clock. And I have a guest joining me. I should welcome him. Bless up my guest. Let me take this down. My guest, how you doing? 433, how you doing? Can't hear you, 433. Can't hear you. Your system
Now I
not
was
working.
saying, this guest needs no introduction because of the popularity amongst the masses, so you could save the introduction.
Bless up chorus, the guest sounds like a Jamaican. Because only a Jamaican would make such a statement without being acknowledged. But welcome, 433. Is this your first time on the program? Not you call in quite a bit. It's your first time I've had you on as a panelist? I think it's the first
No,
time.
we did
Right?
a watch along. I think it was last year, United versus
Oh,
Arsenal.
okay. See, you're a youngster. You have the memory I don't. I can't recall. But
I
thanks
think
for being
Arsenal
here.
actually won that game as well, 3-1, I believe it was. Something like that.
Yeah. And it's good to have you on, because you're a Man U fan. I'm sure there's every season, every team. It's like every league, whether it's basketball, football, or NFL, fans are enthused about their teams most times, especially if they have a transfer. And then reality sets in. So we'll see what happened with Man U this year. But last year, what are your thoughts as we think about the upcoming season? And let me put back up the agenda for the evening, actually. You see what the agenda is? We're going to talk title race. We're going to talk top six, relegation battle, Golden Boot winner, best transfer manager, and then young player of the season. So give me your initial thoughts, and then we can jump into the agenda. And obviously, I want comments from the crowd.
Initial thoughts on United or the Premier League season upcoming?
Premier League upcoming season, not necessarily. And you can bring in United if you want to. And by the way, people, before 433 speaks, there's a small number of people in the chat. I'm sure people are coming in, but please hit the like button as you come in, because I know I did set up the request to hit the like button. So please hit the like button. And I have another guest, but he needs to come on live. My guest, we don't on this program, we don't do the thing then on my guest. Sorry, we have to call you out. You have to come on live, my guest. So finally, I look at car now going on. You have to come live, my guest. My guest, you have to come live. Yeah, you have to come live. So we don't do them thing there. We want the people in the chat to see who we are on YouTube, to see us. We can't. You look like you're walking someplace. You're just coming from the job.
I walk into the parking lot.
I thought you told me you're gonna be leaving work earlier. I mean,
I was going to leave work early, but then I stayed at work and ended up dinner. I ended up on the radio doing a preview of the Premier League, and then
you end up on the radio, some little rinky-dink radio station when you have Kranky live show to come to do the show. you put me on the back burner of some radio station. All right.
No, but you're on the front burner. I don't like,
We'll see. We'll see how this works out.
He's on the second burner, The second
exactly. But all right, CC, glad to have you. Yeah, so 433. By the way, CC, here's the agenda for the evening. If you can see it, I know you're probably on your phone, so it's probably hard to see. But here's the agenda. Probably hard for you to see since you're also online. But anyway, it is the title race, top six, relegation battle, Golden Boot winner, best transfer of the season, manager under pressure or managers under pressure, and young player of the season. So we'll have 433 speak, and then you, CC. And CC will have some background noise. CC, mute yourself if you're not speaking, because I know you're going to have. As you go ahead, all right, cool. Go ahead, 433.
Yes, Kranky. If you can just pull it back up, let me just keep track, if that's okay.
We'll do so.
Yeah, so in terms of the Premier League season, I think it's a exciting season. I think every season we have the same sentiment about the season being exciting. Last season we would have seen two of the traditional top six teams finishing in positions in which is not respectable in a sense, right? Spurs would have finished 17th. Yes, they won the Europa League, but still a bad league position to finish in. United would have finished in 15th, right? And we have seen where United this summer transfer window, they have been exciting in terms of their business. Cunha, Mbuemo, Benjamin Sesko, they're linked with Baliba from Brighton as well. So the assumption would be that United next season is definitely supposed to be better than what they would have shown last season. Spurs as well, they signed Mohamed Kudus. I think they signed a defender from Japan or something like that. Linked with Eberechi Eze, I think they have plans to open talks with Crystal Palace. They would have shown a good performance against a PSG team that would have won the Champions League, right? Being the best team in Europe. So for me, based on those two teams, I expect that they will be in and around the top 8 next season. City is under a rebuild in a sense. KDB would have left. They brought through the likes of Reinders from Milan, Cherky from Lyon as well. And then Liverpool, just want to mention Diogo Jota as well, God rest his soul. Unfortunate that he would have passed away. But Liverpool, they've also done some great business in terms of selling Darwin Núñez, getting Hugo Ekitike, Florian Wirtz from Leverkusen, one of the best number 10s in world football at this moment in time. Chelsea, they have also been exciting in terms of the business that they have done and the recent showing in the Club World Cup competition in recent times. So for me, it's a very interesting and exciting season coming up in this season, 25-26 Premier League season. So I'm looking forward to it. And in terms of United, my expectation of United with this type of spending, we have to finish around the top 6, top 7 mark for me. So yeah, that's my expectation moving forward.
CC, your opening comments?
All right, so my opening comments are: I think this season should be a very exciting season. We have seen a lot of um activity around the transfer window, like Manchester United with a brand new front end. It seemed like the vehicle had brought down last season, so they decided to go with brand new parts on the front end. Which what I mean by that, people, is the three strike. They bring in three forward, brand new, Embuemo, Sesko, and Cunha, which I expect all three to start in Manchester United side. That's how porous they were last season. Um, I mean, these will be quality players. But when you look around the league, like I think there's quality players coming in all of the teams. They're also in position to try and get Baleba, which I think is top 5 player at his position in the world right now. And then when I look at the other teams, Manchester City would have done some good business as well. I mean, they brought in Ait Nuri, they brought in Turkey, they brought in Reinders. I mean, they are retooling their team and coming again. I think last season they would have felt undone, but it's a cycle, and I think they're in the rebuilding cycle. When you look at Chelsea and what Chelsea was able to get, Esuego for little or nothing. They were able to bring in with Liam Delap, able to bring in Joe Pedro, Estavio. But the significance is these players scored in the preseason. They scored also in the Club World Cup. Especially Palmeiras striker Estavio scored against Chelsea in that Club World Cup. No, at Chelsea. So Chelsea has retooled as well. When I look at Newcastle I think is in a bit of trouble because Isak doesn't want to play for them anymore. He's um gone on Exodus. He's not going to play in the first game. But in terms of how the transfer window has panned out for all of the big clubs, I think everybody has everything to like put up a competitive season. Arsenal, I don't think Arsenal has anything to complain about anymore. They got in a quality midfielder in Zubimende. They got in a number 9 and in Gyökeres, our goal Koresh, as everybody is calling him. So I just think this season should be a very exciting season. But just like last season when Liverpool won with 80 plus points, I expect the league winner not to be able to amass 90 points this season, given the competition around the league.
What's your thought on that comment on the scene on the screen? 433 by Odell.
Us Chelsea fans listening, Arsenal and all these subpar teams fans are weird. Well, the thing is, I think Chelsea fans, and I know that CC's a Chelsea fan, Kranky, and I think Chelsea, they would have won the Club World Cup last season and the Conference League, right? And at first, I did praise Chelsea, but I don't think after spending so much money, billions in a couple of 4 seasons or so under the new ownership, Todd Bowley, which I think is a very ambitious owner. I think he does want to win. We have seen American owners before where they don't seem as interested in the product in a sense, right? So I think Chelsea and the Clearly group, I think they're very ambitious in terms of having Chelsea in a position to succeed, but making so many mistakes since the takeover. I don't think there's anything to praise Chelsea for, especially trying to put respect on the Club World Cup Championship and even the Conference League as well. Yes, these are respective trophies, but it is nothing of weight in comparison to what City would have won over the years and what Liverpool would have won as well. They refer to Liverpool being the threat to them, but I think you also have Arsenal to worry about. They haven't finished ahead of Arsenal for a couple of good seasons, and they also have Manchester City in the mix. So I think there are other teams in and around the Premier League table who are also a threat to Chelsea, not only Liverpool.
So let's move forward and pick who we believe is going to win, which team we believe is going to win the EPL this year. We'll do who's going to win the EPL, and then we pick top 6. So who are we predicting? Given all these transfer numbers you see up here, given the players have been brought in and players sold. And by the way, I think we should focus more on net spend versus growth spend, right? Because if you when you're thinking about the dollars or the pounds or the euros, the focus is going to be how do I satisfy PSR and FFP, not necessarily that I spend $1 billion. I could spend $1 billion and have sales of 900, only spend net 100, right? That's the focus is for most of these clubs. So given what has transpired in the transfer window and what transpired last year, who have retained some of their players, make a case for who the winner should be this year. And we'll do top 4 and then we'll do top 6. But who do you think is going to win the EPL this year? I'll go first with CC.
All right, so who I think will win the Premier League this season is Liverpool. I think Liverpool will repeat. I think they're put more spoils to repeat. I think the Alexander Isak transfer is formality. I think people might say they're probably not going to get him, but I think he's gonna go to Liverpool at some point in time in this season. Whether it be after 2 games have been played, whether it be after the first game has been played. When I look at Liverpool in terms of what they have at their disposal in terms of their squad, they have a settled squad from last season who would have won multiple titles on the club and then have won the league last season under Arne Slot in his first season. So he would have known what it takes to win the Premier League, and then he would have added some pieces, his stamp on the team. When I look at the other teams around him, the only team that I see with a settled squad to challenge him is Arsenal. I think Manchester United is still figuring out what they're doing. Ruben Amorim needs to prove that he can fix a broken squad team, prove that he can fix a Manchester United team that has struggled over the years. In terms of league, when I look at Chelsea is pretty much still young, a manager that is trying to prove himself at the top flight. This is his second season in the top flight football. So a manager that is still having to prove himself. A club that has a lot of young players, the squad has gotten younger this season. So in terms of what Liverpool is, I think Liverpool is in pole position to repeat as champions this season.
4-3.
Yeah, I would like to go with Liverpool in a sense, right? But there's some concern from with Liverpool, and I've said on previous live streams with friends of mine. I believe it's Arsenal for me to win it. One, I know that Liverpool would have brought through the likes of Frimpong, Florian Wirtz, etc. Mohamed Salah is getting a bit older. They would have recently lost Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota sadly passed away. And I think Diogo Jota will be a big miss for Liverpool in terms of his production, right? But my concern is how much of an addition will Hugo Ekitike be in this Liverpool team in terms of goal scoring ability. I know that over the years they would have had, Roberto Firmino, who was more of a number 9, right? Facilitator, that type of thing. But they also had Sadio Mane, who was a goal scoring machine. Salah at that time was a goal scoring machine as well, and still is, right? But he's getting a bit older as well. And losing the dynamic Luis Diaz, I think it will affect Liverpool attacking wise in terms of the goals that they will score to an extent, right? I'm not really sold on Hugo Ekitike as yet, just hitting the ground running. I think if they do get Alexander Isak, I have them as favorites, but as of now, they don't have Isak. But for me, it is definitely Arsenal, finishing second on three occasions back to back in a sense, and with the likes of Victor Gyökeres, Martin Zubomendu, who I think is a good replacement for Thomas Partey. I do have Arsenal as favorites in some sense in winning the league.
Yeah, look, the most people I've listened to in whatever forum that I've listened seem to be indicating that if Liverpool get Isak, it's a done deal. To me, Isak is a brilliant player, but he's also very injury prone. I don't think he's ever played the totality of a given season, 38 games. I think last year he played just over 30. But if they get him, and they had Wirtz, and their team actually is going to get affected in a way which people don't seem to think about. Because remember last year they played a 3-man midfield, right? With Gravenberg played with McAllister and Szoboszlai.
Yeah. Somebody
has to sit out now with Wirtz in the team. Somebody has to sit on the bench because they're going to play a traditional top 3 with probably Gakpo, Isak if he plays, and Salah, and Nketiah coming off the bench. It's not the same midfield. And it's going to be a little bit different. Wirtz is a brilliant player. He'll create more opportunities, but will he be there defensively? Because Liverpool normally play without a 10. They don't normally play with a 10. People think they play with a 10. It's a little bit different. From Firmino days to Jota days to now, they play a very balanced 3-man midfield. And it's going to be interesting to see how that materializes. I am picking us to win. I know people are going to say the same thing they say every year. Here we go again, picking Arsenal to win. And you can, I'm not sure why there's so much hate out there for Arsenal. It's amazing. If you finish second 3 years in a row,
Flatter to deceive. You're flatter to deceive.
well, no, but if
Kranky.
you finish, that means you're doing something right to finish second 3 years in a row. I mean, we had a chance, not last year, but the year before, to actually win the league.
Two
We
times.
were short.
Twice.
Yeah, but we were short players at come the end of the season, right? 1 year, Saliba got injured, and we brought in, what's his name, who's not even in football anymore, probably in the US playing. I forget his name. As a center half, we weren't spending as much money as we do now. When we start spending, everybody started spending, right? Liverpool didn't spend any money last year, and this year, given all the sales they made, coupled with what they had in dry powder they had, they probably can spend 500 million this year, which is amazing actually in terms of euros. So I do expect us to win. So what people in the chat, let me know who you're picking to win. And also at the same time, we're going to jump into what's your top six.
Before I get to the top six, Kranky, just a small pushback on the Alexander Isak thing. I think he has spent 3 seasons at Newcastle.
Yeah.
I think his last 2 seasons he would have played a bit more games, over 20-something games in the league.
Yeah. He played last year. He played about almost 30.
But in
I'm
this
saying he's
Liverpool
not played
team,
38 games.
even if he doesn't play 38 games, I don't think if he's scoring like 20-something goals in the Premier League for Liverpool,
Yeah.
he doesn't need to play 38 games because Salah is going to score. Maybe Wirtz is going to
That
score.
is true.
Well. So
That's true.
Have a lot of goals in this team.
But I think the thing about Liverpool though, the biggest thing that Liverpool has to worry about is their defense, and they are currently pursuing 2 defenders that I think if they get them, I think that adds a little more depth to their team. Number 1 is Mark Guéhi, the captain of Crystal Palace, whom Arsenal wanted as well. I think they're going for that player, and I think they agreed personal terms with him. So that's probably good as gotten. And Giovanni Leone, I think, the Parma defender. So
I think they signed him recently.
Yeah,
yeah,
they just
so
signed him for just about 20 million pounds. Yeah.
so that means with Konate and Van Dijk, and then you have those 2 central defenders coming in. I think they're pretty much set to actually put up a decent challenge, a decent defense, of their title.
Yeah, no, look, they have a lot of horses in their team, right? Look across the entire team. They're stacked. And as you said, if they get Mark Guéhi and they have the kid from coming in from Italy, who's last time I saw was in transit actually, 6'5", but he's only 18 years old. So he's going to take some acclimation to the Premier League if he does come in. And Guéhi has to think about this, which is it's a World Cup year. Do I go to Liverpool and sit behind Konate? Now, Van Dijk is not a machine, neither is Konate, and they may get tired during the season or may get hurt during the season. But if it's a World Cup year and you want to be in Tamas Tuchel's team, do you go sit behind one of those individuals? He'll get game time because they're playing a lot of games, but you're a first choice player now. And here's one thing I'll say and digress a little bit. If I'm in the last year of my contract, I'm not signing a contract because I can wait till the end of the season. In fact, in January, I can sign a pre-contract overseas. I can get a sign-on fee, 10, 15, 20 million pounds. Why would I? Because that's a transfer fee. I probably get even more than 10 million pounds. Why would I sign a contract? I run injury risk, but I can insure myself. So anyway, I never understand why players want to sign their last year. I don't care what the club want to say. Like what Trent does. I mean, they did get some euros for Trent. But what Trent does was he probably got a sign-on fee from his agent when he went to Real Madrid. Money in your pocket. It's free money. You give money.
Mbappe got a whole lot to go to Real Madrid.
Well, Mbappe always get a whole lot from a whole different places. So let's go with the top 6. 4-3, you go first.
Yeah, top 6, right?
Yeah.
For me, top 6, it would consist of not in any order, right? Liverpool.
Do it in order. Do it in order.
In order?
Yes, do it in order.
I would say Liverpool. Well, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. So let me see: Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. I would say.
Oh, they'll have 7 on the board. It's not 6, but go ahead.
I would say United, and probably Spurs. Yeah.
So Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, United, and Spurs. And who's the number? Oh, you had Chelsea in there too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying Spurs will finish ahead of Newcastle and Villa, frankly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think this Newcastle team, I think the thing is, if Isak leaves, there's no competent replacement I can look at right now that will replace Isak. And I've said to people, I've seen players try to force a move before, Mbappe and these guys, they would have done it over the years, Riyad Mahrez. But in which the way Isak is going about it, I think there was an article about him even moving out of his house. Today would have stated that he's not playing the first game and games even after that as well, right? So with the transfer window winding down with like 3 weeks or less left in the transfer window, who is Newcastle going to get into this team that is going to replace an Alexander Isak? I know that they signed Jacob Ramsey recently, but you're losing a lot of goals and influence within that front three to kind of make it back into the top 6, top 7 for next season. I think they'll be in the top 10, but not really the top 6 in my opinion.
CC?
Yeah, so my top 6, as I said, Liverpool. I have Liverpool repeating. So that's that. Of Arsenal, this is going to be a make or break for Arteta, because if he comes for straight second, oh my word. Hopefully it doesn't happen and him don't come second, he probably come third. But I have Arsenal coming second because I think Arsenal is the most likely team to challenge for the title. So I have Arsenal finishing second. Chelsea have finishing third. Manchester City finishing fourth. I think Manchester City, yes, they have quality over there. Pep Guardiola is still there, but I think their team needs a little bit more gelling than I think than a Chelsea team who is bouncing off. People might not rate the trophies, but they're trophies nonetheless. Pep Guardiola has had a trophyless season this season, had a lot of changes in the team and everything. So for me though, fifth, I think Manchester United has done a good enough job. If they get Baleba, I think they're finishing fifth. I think they have enough to can finish fifth in the league, just the same. Six for me goes to Tottenham Hotspurs. I think they have Champions League football, but when I look at Tottenham's team, I think Tottenham's team, they had a lot of injuries last season. If you notice, they have a lot of goals in that team because they scored a lot of goals last season, but they never really kicked on in terms of defensively. But a lot of the times they never really had any defender. At one point in time, I could have sworn I saw Dante Casanova on the bench. Um, if I'm not mistaken, I saw some academy players on the bench and academy players coming in to play. So they were suffering from a lot of injuries. If they stay healthy, I think they should get that sixth spot. I think Aston Villa and Newcastle. When I look at what Newcastle, if Newcastle loses Isak, I'm not sure they can challenge because I don't know I don't know if Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes are going to be good enough to give them the goals that Isak would have given them, especially those match winners. So that's a lot of points off the table for them. Aston Villa gonna be a very competitive team, but the league is has reached a place where there's like 9 teams that can finish in the top 6. Because I think Nottingham Forest also has a shot in that top 6. So I think Aston Villa, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest should finish outside of the top 6, but inside of the top 10.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting competition and to get to the top 6. I'm going to pick my top 6 and then make a couple comments. I'm picking us to win. I'm picking Arsenal to win the league. I think it's about time. We have knocked on the door enough. If we don't do it this year, then Arteta has to be questioned. I don't think he'll get fired, but he has to be questioned. And they may have to even consider a change because you can't be in a position for 6 years, don't win anything, and say you're a top team, putting in 700 million plus every year and spending to date almost $1 billion on this team. Even though, to be frank, if you compare our billion with Chelsea and Man U, I think it's a better billion spent given the quality of the players and the valuation for the teams. So I say Arsenal. I think Liverpool will run Arsenal close and may even win, frankly, but I'm still picking us to win because they just have a really balanced team. The defense have changed in terms of the right and left back. Frimpong is not the best defender. Kirkes, to me, is very, very good. It's going to be interesting how that team sort of come together and blend because they're bringing in 6-7 new players. They have to get acclimated to the league. So that should be interesting, even though Kirkes played for Bournemouth last year. Third will be Man City. They're going through a rebuild in some respects. De Bruyne is gone. Grealish is gone. Savino may go to Spurs. So that's going to be interesting how that all materialize and work out. They're thinking about Rodrigo to come in. I'm sure they'll give Doku more time on the left. I think he probably deserves more time than Grealish does. But it'll be interesting how that works out. For the remaining positions, I think Chelsea be fourth. I think Chelsea is going to be an interesting team, actually. I don't think we realize that. I think maybe was Percy said this earlier, which is it's a business to Boy and his people. It's a business to the American owners. It's a business, and they're running it like a private equity business, whereby they're buying low and they're selling mid and high, and they're very coy about how they do their business. People think they don't know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Those guys didn't become billionaires overnight. And frankly, Boy is not even the main person behind Chelsea, even though he's the face of it. So, and the kid they brought in, Estavio, is a brilliant player. I watched him play this preseason. Brilliant footballer, what, 18, 19 years old? So they have a lot of competition for places. The problem for Chelsea is their defense, which they haven't fixed, actually. So that should be interesting. And then for the remaining 2 slots, I am cautiously optimistic about Man U. I think, Fernandes deciding to stay when he was going to get $1 million a week is a big deal, actually. People don't realize that. He would have made $1 million a week. What he makes now, about 3 something, which after tax is about 1 something. When could you take him $1 million a week? Say probably making about 8 or 9 times what he would have made if he go to Saudi Arabia. So he's a captain and he's functioning like one. He's gotten better over the years. I'm not the biggest Fernandes fan, but his productivity says it all. And then, so I expect United to be running Newcastle for 5th. And then the remaining slot is between Tottenham, Nottingham Forest, Villa, and I'm going to say Man U and Newcastle run out the top 6, with Spurs, who may get Savino, who may get Eze, and they have a very good coach in Thomas Frank. If they rebuild how they operate and it works, then they'll be in a good slot to challenge. And yesterday, they did themselves proud about how they play against PSG. PSG season hasn't started yet. So it should be interesting, actually, in terms of the top 6. But that's my top 6. It is Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man U. I'll put Man U 6, actually, because they still haven't fixed their midfield. Now, let's go to the relegation battle. Because a lot of times, this relegation battle is as interesting as the top 6 or the top 4. And one of the reasons why I go top 6 versus top 4 is, as you know, England has, 6 teams in Champions League this year? Because obviously they use some mathematical equation to figure out nowadays strengths of schedule and how you perform. So they may get 5 teams again next year. And if somebody win the Europa League, if Nottingham Forest does, they probably get it also. So let's talk about relegation battle. I'll go CC first. CC, who are you picking what 3 teams you're picking to go down?
Yeah. The relegation battle is quite interesting. I said this somewhere on a program before, but it's almost like I think I'm going to tweak it, because I know I mentioned a couple of clubs. But number 1, I think Burnley is going to go back down. I think Burnley took away, they bought about 3 Chelsea players. But when I look at their squad, I don't think they have a lot of firepower. And I think there's not a lot of Premier League experience in that team in terms of their ability to stay in the league, right? When I look at the other Burnley, they did well in the championship to almost 100 points. But I think their playing style is not suited, especially when it comes down to the Premier League. So I think they will go back down. I think Brentford is a likely candidate to be relegated this season. When I look at the fact that they have lost Mbeumo, that's a lot of goals right there. They have Wissa just the same, but they have lost Thomas Frank as well in terms of their coach. And I'm not pretty sure I'm not sold on what this coach will come in and do. So I think Brentford is another team that they have to look at. Then you look at Lee. I think Sunderland. Somebody said it, and I really have to consider it. Sunderland, even though they came through the playoffs, they with Granit Xhaka in that lineup and a couple of the pieces that they have, I think they might have the best suitable team to stay up. So, but with that being said, I think I put Sunderland to be relegated as well. I think Leeds for me will stay up. I know they like to play open, expansive football, but I think they stay up, and I think Wolverhampton Wanderers go down.
So who you saying going down? Wolves going down, Burnley going down, and who?
Brentford.
Wow. So you have 2 teams staying up. Presser?
Yeah.
No. No. Sunderland. Sorry, I had Sunderland going down.
So 4 you have going on then. Only 3 can.
Sunderland, Brentford, and Burnley.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I did speak Wolves to go down, but I think somebody reminded me when the manager came in, the new manager. I think he
Yeah.
got 32 points, the seventh most points of every team when he came in. So I think when you look at that, even though the last Matthias Cunha, so but it's very
And
difficult to
Ed
pick
Norrie, Ed
between.
Norrie went to Man City also. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult in a sense right there.
Okay. Presser.
Yeah, my first team to go down is Brentford. Yeah, reason being, I think, for one, Wissa, well, not Wissa, but Mbuemo would have left recently, right? Ivan Toney a couple seasons ago was a big loss for them. I don't think they've replaced him up to now. Well, I think they have a striker who did kind of replace him. Wissa might be on the verge of leaving, but I think it's more of the coach that they would have appointed. It's one thing when Brighton and some of these teams would have went out in terms of replacing their previous coaches. They came from different leagues, and at least there was something about them that you could, have an understanding of the type of football that they would play in a sense. Whereas the newly appointed coach for Brentford, I don't think he has coached at any level before in terms of like professionally as a first team coach or even as an assistant, right? I think he was more so in the backroom staff of Thomas Frank. So I think in the Premier League, especially losing, Mbuemo and maybe Wissa to Tottenham Hotspur, I think it's a major risk in terms of his appointment, which I'm kind of surprised that they did appoint him. So I would have Brentford alongside Burnley, and I think the team that I would put from the Premier League from last season to go down, I think it would have to be somewhere or along, yeah, Brentford, Burnley, and maybe Sunderland. Yeah, I have those three teams going on. Leeds, I think they've been exciting in the past couple of seasons in the Championship. And Daniel Fark, I know that he has been in the Premier League previously with Norwich City. So, I know that he was almost sacked when he got promoted last season from the Championship to the Premier League. So he'll have a tricky start to the season. But I think Leeds, I think they have a lot of quality players that can, maintain a position in terms of staying in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season actually because teams like Brentford, who came from League One to the Championship to the Premier League and have been here a number of years now, I've always had a very good model and good coach in Thomas Frank, who has done really, really well with the team. But as you're saying, they have lost about almost 40 goals between Mbuemo and Wissa. Obviously, Wissa hasn't left yet, but he's going to go to Newcastle. They're going to buy him. And if you look at Wissa's history, he was bought for like 10 million euros. He had bounced around a number of different leagues and teams. 10 million euros go to Brentford. So they've done it well, right? Tony came to League One with them before he went to Saudi Arabia. And then Mbuemo, obviously, wasn't necessarily the most known player, but he did brilliantly with them. He was at Man U. So they have lost a lot of goals, almost 40 goals between two players and over 40 goal contribution between two players. That's hard to replace in a very tough league, right? So they could play a lot of counter-attacking football and be productive and do well because of these players and their mobility. So I think Brentford will struggle to stay up. I do think Burnley will go down. They haven't changed from how they played when they first came up. So they're going to go back down the same way they came up. You can't play expansive football at the Premier League because you don't have you can't out-expand the opposition, given the nature of the league play. So I don't expect them to go down. And then I think Leeds will go back down. I think Sunderland has bought a lot of players. A lot of players. You look at their team, it's almost like a complete turnover. They spent almost 100 million, I think it is, if I go back and check the numbers. They spent a lot of money. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to stay up. And even though they came through, they probably shouldn't have won that game in the playoffs, frankly, if you watch the game. But they came through and they have done well. And I think Xhaka is going to be a big... I think they probably bought Xhaka with a view of Xhaka coaching that team. But Xhaka wants to be a manager. And he operates like a manager. And he's a leader. And I expect him to have significant influence on that team. But let's see if they have enough horses to do it. So I think it's between Leeds and Sunderland. I'm going to choose Leeds going down. I'm going to say it's Brentford, Burnley, and Leeds, and Leeds going down.
Yeah,
So
I think there are a lot of teams.
on Wolves.
Go ahead, CC, and then
I was saying Wolverhampton. What's your thoughts on Wolverhampton Wanderers?
I think what people don't realize that the transfer window ends September 1st, not today. We're only in the second week of August. People are going to bring in players, right? And they're a settled team. They lost a couple of players in the transfer window, but they have a settled team. They have a good manager. So I expect them to play similar football. I call them like a Portuguese team. I expect them to play similar football they played last year and be able to eke out staying in the Premier League. Go ahead, 433.
Yeah, I was saying, there's so many teams in the ascendancy in recent times. The Crystal Palace. I think Everton will be a much improved team next season as well, especially with David Moyes being there. Saved them from relegation, finishing 13th. Having the likes of Jack Grealish, who I think is a good acquisition on loan. Being at Everton, just having that reset, I think he will, definitely perform. Jack Grealish is 30, so he's not close to finishing anytime soon in terms of retiring from the game. But I think one team that could face a possible threat of relegation is Bournemouth. However, the reason as to why I don't put Bournemouth in the mix is because I have this perception of Spanish managers being intelligent and always finding a way to be creative in some sense. And I know that they would have lost 3 to 5 of their first team players in a sense, right? But I think in terms of Andoni Iraola, I think he's very, very intelligent from what I've seen in terms of what he has done in the Premier League. So as you said, the transfer window isn't done as yet. So for me, I think Burnley, I still think they have a lot of quality players, especially in the front three in a sense, midfield wise as well. I think there's another player there who is on the risk of leaving. I don't remember his name. I think he's like a left winger or something like that.
Is that about for Bournemouth?
Yeah.
Qatar?
Who?
I think his name is Qatar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Qatar. Yeah, I think I think it was West Ham who bid for him or something like that.
No,
so
I think it's Brentford who bid for him.
Oh, Brentford, yes. So he might be leaving as well. So they've probably lost 5 or 6 first team players, but I think
they lost 3 of the 4 defenders, the 2 center half and the left back.
Yeah, but I think Iraola is really intelligent to keep this team up, and they got a good goalkeeper from Chelsea as well. What's his name? CC, the goalkeeper that you guys sold to them.
Oh, Petrovic.
Yeah, Petrovic. I think Petrovic is.
I think he's Chelsea's best goalkeeper. Well, I don't.
Yeah, I thought so too, but yeah. So I think Bournemouth will stay. But
they did get over $100 million, £100 million for those 3 sales, So
Yeah,
they have money they can reinvest. They bought a defender, but they need to reinvest that money.
Yeah. I think they'll be smart in terms of investing that money.
All right, so let's move to Golden Boot winner. It's going to be an interesting season for Golden Boot winner. I'm going to go with 433 first. A really interesting season for Golden Boot winner. What are your thoughts, CC, and the Golden Boot winner? And by the way, we haven't even talked about Man U having Sesko, right? So I know 433 mentioned this at the beginning. They have 4 offensive players. Only 3 positions to me they get 4 offensive players can play. It's going to be really interesting. And none of them can get benched. But go ahead, 433.
For me, next season, I think it's automatic. I think Erling Haaland gets it next season for me. If he wasn't out due to the injury last season, he would have easily won it. I think he finished in the top 4 last season in terms of the race for the Golden Boot. So for me, he's on automatic inclusion or automatic winner in my books in terms of the Golden Boot. If you want me to give the person that will finish second, I think maybe Mohamed Salah. I still have Salah up there. I don't see Benjamin Sesko or Victor Gyökeres walking into the Premier League and scoring 20-something goals next season, unless it's a low season for goal scoring where one of them finished third with 15 goals, where second place finishes with 18 goals. But for me, it's Erling Haaland and followed by Mohamed Salah.
CC.
Yeah, I know Mohamed Salah is kind of a selfish player. So you kind of set away over there if Isak goes over there. But I think Arsenal's striker is going to win the Golden Boot. I think I rate Gyökeres highly, and I think a lot of persons are of the opinion that he's going to flop and he's not going to score any goals, and he's not probably scoring. I hear people saying Havertz will outscore him. I'm like, I think he's being highly underestimated. And if they look at the 2 big Swedish strikers between Iman and Isak, when you look at the goal scoring record of him for Sweden versus Isak, he's performing better than Isak at the international level. So it's not like he's not used to playing at the international level. He's used to playing even in the championship. But when he was at Brighton, he never got any game in the Premier League. So I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. But he would have trained and been at the club for quite a number of years. So for me, Gyökeres to win the Golden Boot. I think Isak is going to run second if he with that move to Liverpool. And Mohamed Salah is going to always be up there. So I'll give Mohamed Salah in that category too. I think Mohamed Salah runs third in that.
Just a question for CC.
Go ahead.
I didn't hear mention Erling Haaland, CC. What's up
So
with Erling Haaland?
Erling Haaland as well. But I think Erling Haaland, when he developed a telepathic linkage with Kevin De Bruyne, even though Kevin De Bruyne never played a lot last season, but I think he's a monster in terms of scoring goals. But I'm not sure. I think he will be up there, so it's gonna be close, but I don't think he's gonna win it. But I know he's a goal scorer, so he's gonna find his goals, and his goals is going to come. But I don't think he's going to win the Golden Boot.
So you say Victor Gyökeres outscoring Haaland?
Yeah, man. I think Victor Gyökeres is going to outscore.
It's interesting actually because I think people underrate Haaland and his goal scoring ability. He doesn't have De Bruyne anymore to supply him. So the question is, where does his goals come from? With Doku start producing in the final third, is Savini going to leave? Is going to replace him? So does the midfield, is Silva and all those players going to get him in position to score goals? But he will score goals. It's a tough one this year. I see Gyökeres scored a header. I think he scored 2 headers in all the 90-something goals that he scored in 2 years at Porto. And yet he scored a brilliant header the other day when he played for Arsenal in that game. So I have 3 or 4 players. Salah in that mix, Haaland in that mix, Gyökeres in that mix. And even Isak, if you can get a team by the second game of the season, I'm gonna go Haaland like 4-3-3 did, just because he's such an imposing figure up front, and he's so physical, and I'm sure Pep is devising ways to enable his team to stop play just tiki-taka football and get the ball up to him. And his main focus in football is scoring goals. He don't care about no build-up play. All he wants to do is put the ball in the net. I do expect Gyökeres to get a lot of opportunities because the problem that Havertz had, even though the last game he played, he showed some speed, which I didn't know he had. Maybe he's all the time in the gym, is that we didn't get behind defenses, right? Only Martinelli looked like he can run behind defense because Saka can't run behind defense. He's not that quick. So we're going to give opportunities to Gyökeres, but I'm gonna say Haaland, Gyökeres, Isak, and Cunha. Those are my pick.
Cunha?
Yeah.
So where's Salah, Kranky?
I'm sorry, Salah. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I missed this. I'm sorry. It's Haaland, Salah, Gyökeres, Isak, and Cunha.
But question, Kranky, I saw an interesting clip recently with I think it was on the overlap with Gary Neville and Ian Wright, right?
Yeah.
And the question that they would have posed to Ian Wright is, what would be a successful season in terms of goal scoring in the Premier League for Victor Gyökeres? And I think Ian Wright said between 10 to 15 goals, in which he got a pushback saying, 10 is obviously a bit too low, 15 a bit more acceptable. So my question to you is, what would be an acceptable figure for Victor Gyökeres in terms of goal scoring in the Premier League next season?
20 goals. He's
20?
27 years old. He's not 50, he's not 20, 19, 18 evolving. He's a finished product.
Yeah.
Finished product, scored 90-something goals in 2 years. 19 of those are penalties. So say he scored, about 70 goals, 70-plus goals in 2 years. That's still a big number. So almost a goal a game. He should be scoring 20 goals. He's a big-time striker. The thing that I gave him more credit for, people don't seem to realize, is that he played well in the Champions League. We played against them. I think we scored 5. But he was a menace for Saliba and for Gabriel. Any forward who gives those trouble, like Isak does, to me, is a quality striker. And the way we play, where we dominate position, he's going to get opportunities. We don't shoot from outside the box. He's going to get a chance to shoot. We don't cross the ball in the box because we don't have to head the ball. He's going to get opportunities like he did in the last game he played in. So 20, if you score less than 20 goals, I'm not happy.
I think you're rightfully you put it the right way, Kranky, because even when I was stating that Arsenal needs a striker, for the last probably 30 years, it's very rare that a team wins the league without a striker that's scoring 20+ goals. And that I think Manchester City did it. And after that, Pep went and got Haaland, because he knows it's not sustainable.
Well, he got Haaland for the Champions League, didn't he? Because
I know, but I'm just
the
saying
9 wasn't working.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of in the league too, because if you look at it, Kranky, if he didn't have Haaland in a couple of those seasons, he might have lost the league to Arsenal. But in terms of over 30 years, I think only Man City. I don't think it's happened 3 times in 30 seasons where a team has won the league and they don't have a striker scoring 20+ goals. So for me, when you look at it, if he scores less than 20 goals, especially given that he's in the prime of his life right now, it's going to be very disappointing for a lot of Arsenal fans.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting who takes the penalty for Arsenal, because right now it used to be Saka, then Odegaard started taking it. Gyökeres doesn't miss penalties. In fact, I watched him take a penalty the other day. He just blasted the ball in the net. So we'll see what happens there. Odegaard doesn't always score them. We'll see what happens there. Let's transition to. It's been an interesting transfer window. The Premier League has spent over 1.4 billion or something more than that so far this season. Who you guys believe will be the best transfer in terms of player? Well, two things: best transfer window for a team, and player who will play best during the season. That's a transferee. I'll start with CC first.
All right, best transfer window for a team. I think the best transfer window for a team will end up with Manchester United. They got they got Cunha, they got Mbeumo, they got Sesko, which I think these are three quality attacking players. In terms of Cunha and Mbeumo alone, that's 40 plus goals in the league. If they get Baleba, that's going to be a pretty good haul for them in the transfer window.
They're not getting Baleba.
Yeah, that's another.
Brighton not selling him. Brighton sell at a certain point in time. They're not selling
him. But put it like this. All right, so I will rephrase it because Liverpool got Leone already, right?
Unless he down tools, they're not getting Baleba.
Liverpool got Leone already, right? They got the defender from Parma.
Yes, they got him.
They're going to get Mark Gay. They got Frimpong. They got what they got a guy? Kirkes. They got Florian Wirtz. They got Etikiti, and they're going to get Isak. It's Liverpool. Okay. I mean, you can't go. It's Liverpool. Liverpool would have
finally come around. I was wondering what you're saying. But
Liverpool has had the best transfer window. They have had the best transfer window because when you look at it, the back line in midfield, forward, every area of the pitch, they would have secured quality players. So I think Liverpool.
Okay. Well, is Liverpool contingent on Isak or is Liverpool without Isak?
I think it's still Liverpool without Isak because they still would have gotten a striker in. They would have gotten a midfielder, quality midfielder. Right. They would have gotten 2 wing back to replace, and they would have gotten 2 centre back to come in. So
Let me look at the numbers again, people. Here are the transfer numbers. Now, forget about the team logos here. Somehow I have it mixed up. But look at the numbers. Just focus on the numbers. You see those numbers? Liverpool has spent 293. Now they've sold 196, but they sold people apart from Diaz who they want to sell. Right, so these are the numbers. They are big numbers, people. Even Arsenal out there, they're big numbers.
But you got the logos mixed up.
It's. I'm using AI to generate this. That's why it's got mixed up.
Okay. So I guess
I was rushing, so I didn't have time to look at the logos.
Yeah,
I said I took them out. Go ahead. I was using AI to generate it.
Yeah, I agree with Cece. I think Liverpool obviously in terms of Florian Wirtz, who I think maybe is generational to some extent. Maybe that's a stretch, but I definitely think he's a top talent in terms of what he would have done at Leverkusen, winning the league as well. That's their first major trophy, I believe, in the history of the club, right? Xavi Alonso did a brilliant job there. So I think Florian Wirtz is a major acquisition for them. And I think it's an interesting acquisition to Liverpool as well because the last time Liverpool had somewhat of a creative player in some sense would have been Coutinho. And when he was sold, his money was kind of used to redevelop this Liverpool squad in terms of the acquisition of Virgil van Dijk. I think around that time they got Alisson Becker as well from Roma. So his transfer was pivotal in terms of the transition of this Liverpool team in terms of them winning the Premier League, winning the Champions League. So having Florian Wirtz as a number 10, a creative player in some sense, I think that's a different dynamic to this Liverpool team that we haven't seen in years, right? As I said, Kranky was always a balanced midfield in terms of Fabinho, Gini Wijnaldum was there as well, Jordan Henderson, who was heavily criticized. He was a part of a winning Liverpool team that won the Premier League and won the Champions League as well, and he was also the captain of this Liverpool team. So with this creative force in terms of Florian Wirtz, I think it's a good acquisition. Again, Hugo Ekitike, he would have replaced Darwin Núñez. Frimpong, Kirkes, Gay might be heading there as well, and the defender from Parma. So I think all in all, I think it was a brilliant transfer window from Liverpool. They went out there very strong, very assertive, aggressive, and obviously if they get Alexander Isak, then that's a icing on the cake. But for me, it has to be Liverpool in terms of winning the transfer window so far.
Yeah, I would agree with both of you actually in terms of because what Liverpool did was they upgraded that left back. They upgrade that right back. Now, some people will lose their minds, so they upgrade that right back. But Trent couldn't defend. Their problem wasn't offense, it was defense, and he couldn't defend.
But Kranky, people mentioned the Trent thing. You have to talk about the trade-off with Trent Alexander-Arnold, right? As much as he couldn't defend, what he offers going forward in terms of creating chances and, having those assists, it makes up for his lack of defensive ability.
No, he didn't, because he came back to bite them in the Champions League. People don't realize at some point you got to learn to defend.
Yeah, but you lose some, you win some.
Yeah, but I'm saying he does not. Look, Frimpong is not as good an attacker as Trent, but he's a very good attacker. In fact, Frimpong is not the best defender, which I find interesting, actually. He's a good offensive player. He's a better defender than Trent. Kirkes, to me, is a brilliant footballer. And he will be an upgrade at left back. You mentioned Florian Wirtz, who is a brilliant going forward, but I think they'll take away something from the midfield defensively. So it's going to be interesting how it works out. Diaz is a big miss for them. He's a sort of versatile player. Can play to the middle, play up to the left. And Gakpo played well, actually.
In any number 10, you're always going to lose something defensively. So
yeah, but when you're playing in a league now where there are margins, and the margins are very fine, right? Look at Arsenal midfield. We don't have any weakness defensively in midfield, right? In terms of defensively. Offensively, one could say we don't have any creativity in terms of people being able to penetrate. And that's why we need Eze in our team. I want to give Nwaneri more game time. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, I think Liverpool doesn't really have any true weakness. Good in goal. If they show up their defense by bringing in some support for Van Dijk and Kanate, they're good at left back. They have two good right backs who can defend. And the midfield now has been supplemented by Wirtz. If they get Isak and Ekitike, they have two players like we do in every single position. That's what they're working for. Right? When I look at our team, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, plus you look at Wataru, Endo is still there. McAllister is still there. So even coming off the bench. So I think if they add the defenders and everything, man, they're going to really be as I
So here's what's interesting for Liverpool and Arsenal, right? They will have people who don't get to change who could make some starter for some team. When game time comes, you got to pick your 11 and your bench. Some players will not be able to change who you expect to be in a team, and I'm not sure it's going to work for some of the teams. You look at the teams. Arsenal have about 23, 24 players, or 22, 23 players. They have at least two players for every position. Now, some players may get sold in this window, just like any other team, because Man U and Arsenal haven't really sold anybody. I think Arsenal sold Tavares. Man U has zero in terms of sales. Now, Garnacho is probably going to go to Chelsea, who wants to pay 30 million when they sold Madueke to us for 50 million. Don't ask me how that works. Don't ask me how that works. They do that really well. But no, back to this. So we're saying best transfer team. No, best player. If think about who you think will have the best season as a player who's been transferred this season, whether within the league or from outside coming into the league. I'll go with 4-3-3 first.
I think for me, from what I've seen, especially from the top teams, because obviously they buy the most quality in terms of players,
before you go further, also think about value for money.
Yeah. I think I'd have to go with Victor Gyökeres, to be honest.
Okay.
I know that in recent times I would have seen players from the Bundesliga, they would have transitioned into the Premier League and not really, they haven't really lived up to the price tag. And I'm not saying Florian Wirtz is going to be that guy, right? But there's some cause for concern in terms of recent transfers that I would have seen from the German league, right? Especially with expensive signings. For me, Gyökeres, I think the price that you guys paid for him at his age was fair. I think he has the quality to hit 20 goals in the Premier League, if not more. So for me, I would say Victor Gyökeres out of most of the players that I would have seen transferred from within the Premier League and players from outside coming into the Premier League as well.
Yeah, Drew Ross is saying, Pedro. I think Pedro is not a terrible shot, actually. He's been brilliant so far. You wonder what he was doing at Brighton and how they were playing.
How brilliant is João Pedro? Let's be honest, Kranky. Chelsea, they've struggled in the striking department for years. What difference?
I would say you never see João Pedro as a goal scorer. He scored penalties, but he wasn't really a goal scorer at Brighton.
Yeah, so
far this preseason, he looked like a goal scorer.
I mean, as I said, Chelsea, they've struggled in the striking department post Diogo Costa in a sense. So I'm not really sold on.
Well, that's that's true, actually.
Tammy Abraham, Romelu Lukaku, Alvaro Morata, Timo Werner. So,
Yeah, there are people boosting up. João Pedro getting a lot of support here. CC, what do you say? Have we lost CC? I think we lost CC. I know he's driving home. I'm going to say Gyökeres also, and not because I'm an Arsenal fan. I just think when you play in a team that dominates the ball, when you're a powerful striker who can bully defenders and who can shoot with either foot and who looks like he has some prowess in the air, you're going to get chances. The question is, can you put them away? I think he'll get chances. I think Estevao is a player I really like, actually. I watch him play. That kid is different. is different. And if he gets a lot of game time at Chelsea, it's going to be difficult for him because he's playing in the same position Neto playing. He's a different animal.
What is Drew was talking about, Kranky? I mean, obviously I don't agree with him. Yes, I watch the games, but I'm just not sold on João Pedro. I don't think he'll be the signing of the summer. Obviously, he would have to prove me wrong, but as things stand right now, I think Goiker is having the most experience out of majority of these guys. I just think Goiker is hits the ground running, and I've seen a lot of people talking about he'll be a flop in the Premier League, that type of thing, but there's no evidence to constitute an opinion like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not as if he played a couple full 90 minutes in the preseason where there's a cause for concern in terms of how he plays. So I think once he plays on Sunday and beyond that, then obviously they will be like proof in the pudding as to whether or not he'll succeed in the league. So I think people just have to give him a chance. But just on my assumption, I think it has to be Victor Gyökeres as well.
Look, there are a lot of good players, right? So let's think about some of the key transfers. Mbeumo at Man U, Cunha at Man U, Sesko at Man U. There's a lot of players. Wissa may go to Newcastle. He's going to get a lot of chance to play. You talk about Gyökeres for us. You talk about Zubimendi. So it's not only goal scorers. Zubimendi for us, who has been getting a lot of rave reviews about how he's playing. Esteval for Chelsea. João Pedro for Chelsea. You think about Savino may go to Spurs, who I think is a good player, but finishing is not the greatest. If Eze move, if Isak move, there's a lot of transfers that are taking place. This is probably one of the most disruptive and interesting transfer window ever.
I want to count Isak. He's like already succeeded in the league, So
no, because we're talking about the best transfer, right? So we're not excluding anyone. We're saying you change teams. How productive are you? So I give you an example. I think about it. Gyökeres only cost us 50 something mil, 60 something with add-on, right? Words cost 110 mil. I factored in saying how productive you are versus your transfer fee, because value for money, coupled with how much you help your team win. So all those factors in, those are different factors to gauge it. I think Cunha will be brilliant for Man U, and Fernandes will give him a lot of chances if Fernandes stays healthy and he stays healthy. So there's a lot of different players and a lot of different teams who have changed teams this year who I think would be great. I think about it last year, for example. There are players that played who people don't get a lot of credit for, who played brilliantly, like a Baleba, for example, who was at Brighton. Well, if you think about those players, you're just like, now you're recognizing how good they are because Man U's pursuing him, and Brighton won 100 mil. Well, Brighton don't want to sell this year. If they sell, they want 100 mil. They figure he's going to be 100 mil next year, not this year. They'll wait till next year. So Man U probably won't get him this year, but they probably pursue him next year.
Well, let me say this, Kranky. You know Fabrizio Romano, and I think he said something recently. I think it was like, don't count out United or something like that. So I mean, who would have thought I would have got Benjamin Sesko and Mbeumo?
You guys fired the bag lady and the garbage man and the janitor to say you ain't got no money. Then all of a sudden you spend 200 something million pounds. What does that about?
In any workforce, if you have 400 people and 200 can get the job done.
No, your roof is leaking. Your training ground is crap, as Ronaldo says.
Yeah, no, we're recently refurbished the training ground, so we're making.
Listen, they spent a bag of money. Money on easy over there. Them just want to get rid of this. The less fortunate people.
Yeah, they're elitist. It's elitist football club.
Yeah, money will become an elitist club, man. I didn't know that. But in terms of the best the signing of the season, it depends, because I think the signing of the season, Kranky, we have to go revisit it after the signing them finish, because I think
after the transfer window is finished, yes.
Yeah, because if Baleba leaves, I think Baleba is possibly considered, based on his talent and based on what I saw last season from him, is possibly would be the transfer of the season. But for me, the transfer of the season is going to be Estavio Willian coming in the Premier League. That's a transfer.
Yeah. No, he's a brilliant footballer. I mean, I watched him this preseason.
Estavio for me is going to be the transfer of the season. I think a lot of people, I hear people saying certain things, but I think a lot of people are underestimating him, especially given that he's just turned 18 years of age. I think that's why we ended up bringing him in at this season, because we actually bought him last season, right? So, and he played the full season for Palmeiras. He even scored on Chelsea. He was giving us problems. I mean,
so CC, I think an 18-year-old walks in the Premier League and becomes the signing of the season.
Well, guess what? There's a lot of things in the first for a lot of things. And when I look at the quality of this player, especially, I think he has that ability to can put it on.
Yeah, what's his name from South America? His name is slipping me now. Who's a football guru? Huh?
He's retired.
No. He's an Englishman living
Oh,
in Brazil. He was talking about the kid, and he was raving about him, like raving about him, like he's the best thing since sliced bread. Probably the best thing since Neymar, actually. And when I watch a kid play, he's fearless. He cannot be marked 1-on-1. He can go either way. His left foot is deadly. He's not Hendricks, who went to Real Madrid. He's a
No man,
different animal.
he's different, man. He's
He's a
different.
different animal. He's gonna be a very look. They won't overplay him because they have Neto on the right, so he's gonna get game time. But what they're doing is having 2 or 3 players in every position, so he'll play quite a bit, but he won't play as much to wear him out. He's gonna be a good player, but he
Let
will.
me tell
I
you
think
why I
Bucharest will
think he's
win.
going to be the player of the season. I think Chelsea is going to win the Champions League, but I think
So I know you were driving home. So how you hit your head on the road? Something happened?
we're going to win the Champions League, Kranky. But that's why I don't think we're going for the league this season. But we're going to win the Champions League. But I think he's going to be more pivotal for us in the Champions League. I don't think we're going to wear him out in the league, especially given the fact that he's young, and we would have much. And you see how he plays in tournament football. I watched him in the Copa Libertadores. I watched him in the Club World Cup, and now I think tournament football, in that setting, is a different animal.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who Chelsea plays, right? Because he's in the same position Neto is. And Neto is a very good player and a Premier League proven player, even though he's not a prolific goal scorer. I think this kid is better than Neto, to be honest. And that's a big thing to say, given Neto is proven and he's not. But if you watch him play, he's going to be interesting. Let's not overhype him, but we'll see how it materializes. Let's go with manager under pressure. I'm going to say managers instead of manager under pressure early in the season. I'll have 4-3-3 go first, and then CC. What manager think will be under pressure?
Well, the first one is Ruben Amorim, to be honest. I just think, based on last season, I don't think as bad as United is, right, with the viruses in terms of Jadon Sancho, Anthony Rashford, and some of these guys, you don't come to United in the middle of a season and finish 17th. I'm sorry. It's not acceptable. I've never seen the likes of, I think the worst position I've ever seen Chelsea finish in was 10th, and the following season they won the Premier League title. Arsenal would be 8th for me. City, in terms of modern day City, maybe 4th at best or 5th, right? But finishing 17th, Kranky, 17th, it's absolutely a travesty. It's a sin, right? So for me, Ruben Amorim next season, in terms of him being adamant in terms of his formation and how he wants to play football, and being so rigid with the system, and getting the likes of Benjamin Sesko, Brian Mbuemo, maybe Baliba, and with the emphasis of even Sir Jim Ratcliffe as well before the transfer window, that essentially United is broke. He did an interview with Gary Neville, and he reiterated that on a couple of occasions that United wouldn't have any money, right? He would have got rid of a lot of people over the time span that he has been at the club. So for me, Ruben Amorim, out of all the managers in the Premier League, is under the most pressure in terms of finishing in a respectable position, which obviously for me is within the top 6. Top 7, fair enough, I will take it. Yeah.
Yeah, Preston, I want to correct you. We came 12 under Frank Lampard just a couple of seasons ago.
Oh, 12. Oh,
yeah, man, must have 12 Pochettino, get the side right after that and come 6. 12 with they came.
But you guys had a transfer ban, right?
Yeah, I think we got a transfer ban. We came 12 that year.
Yeah, so for me, it's definitely Ruben Amorim. And, after Amorim, I would say maybe, just looking at the table now, I would say Mikel Arteta in second place. I'd say Mikel Arteta in second place. And I think that's it in terms of managers under pressure. Maybe Graham Potter as well. But I don't think West Ham, I don't think they've done enough in the transfer window to back him, to be honest. So for me, it's Ruben Amorim followed by Mikel Arteta in terms of next season.
CC?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, so I think Manchester United, I was looking at it and I think maybe I wanted to say Arteta. I think Arteta overall over the season. I think Arteta, right? But the early part of the season, Ruben Amorim, in terms of fixing Manchester United, the fact that you came in December, this is one of the significant things. You came in, I think, December, and before, and you got only 9 points. 9 points during that period. I think they got only 9 points. correct me if I'm wrong, Preston, because it's your team. What I think
I
is
think
only
it's
9
around
points.
that figure. I wasn't really counting because I didn't really care
Yeah.
at that time.
But I'm just saying that he played more than 10 games for him to collect 9 points in that period. Is a very abysmal one. January, February, March, April, May, 6 months. In 6 months, only 9 points. So I think he's going to be under immense pressure, especially given the fact that the board is backing him. The board has brought in 3 front players. They're possibly going to spend the next 100 million. They would have spent what, 80 million plus a 70. How much money they would have spent, Cranky? They would spent about 300
I think we
million
spent 200 million so far around that
About
figure.
229.
Yeah.
Something like that.
220 exactly, and if they brought in Baleba now, that's 300 plus million. So they would have spent heavily in terms of areas that he says he want to fix. He's saying the midfield doesn't have legs. Baleba would have they would have, if they bring in Baleba that fixes that. He wants goals, they brought in that. So he's getting everything that he needs and that he says he wants. So I think he's under pressure to deliver this season, especially Manchester United is not the club where, even though they have been waffling for the past couple of seasons, being out of the Champions League is not something that Manchester United is thinking about consistently in terms of spending that heavily. So I think with that being said, he's under the most pressure. The manager that follows him up under pressure is Arteta. Arteta has been saying every year, it's a project, it's a project, it's a project. For 3 seasons straight, he came second. And I think a team that has not seen the Premier League title in the last 20 years or so, the last time they won it, they were invincible. And after that, they went invisible. So you have to look at those factors. So Arteta is under pressure to deliver the Premier League title back to the Emirates. I mean, they have won the FA Cup and all of those things, but I think a major title, either the Premier League or the Champions League. I think the Champions League would sow the appetite of the Arsenal fans because they have the most entries in the Champions League without winning it. So that is something that he will create history to be the first manager to win a Champions League title for Arsenal. So I think one of the two, he has to win something major. So Arteta for me is under immense pressure, and this is what his 8th season at a big club, at a top 6 club. It doesn't look good.
7 seasons, not 8.
Let
Not
me
eight.
say this, Kranky.
7.5, Cranky.
Let me say this, Kranky. I think Drew, a fellow United fan of mine. I think he has to have a bit more ambition in terms of his outlook on United, right? Kranky, you don't come to the third biggest club. Well, I'm not going to say the third biggest club. One of the biggest clubs in world football and finish 17th, Kranky. It is unacceptable. And my belief is that
It was at
as a
Real Madrid who
manager,
got fired. It was at Real Madrid who got fired. Go
yeah,
ahead.
exactly. I've said
He
to
got
people,
fired.
if Real Madrid would have appointed 5 managers in one season, not to finish in a position that is not respectable to the club, right? And my belief and perception of managers is that you have to come into a system and you have to put or implement something in place that will get the best out of players, even if it's not even if it's not your type of system that you want to play, but you have to strike the balance in terms of getting the best out of the team to finish in a position that is respectable to the talent and the qualities of the players, right? Looking at last season, is Everton really a better team than United on paper? No. Is Crystal Palace really a better team on paper than United? No. The teams that would have finished above United last season, I don't think they're better teams in terms of how they're made up in comparison to United, who have international players who perform for their international teams in terms of their countries, right? So for me, finishing 17th, Spurs, they sacked Ange Postecoglou despite winning a trophy. And I'm not saying Ruben Amorim should have been sacked last season, but he was definitely lucky to still be in the job in terms of him finishing 17th. So for me, after spending 300 million pounds, well, that's if they signed Baleba, for a team that didn't finish in Europe, for a team that didn't win the Europa League trophy, that didn't get any, money from that respective competition, it's not like we had a Champions League pull to get some of these guys through the door. So you have to be under immense pressure. If you're at United and not under pressure to finish in the top 6, then it doesn't make sense you're at the club in any sense. It don't make sense. Me support United, and if me not go put pressure upon the manager for finishing the top 6 after spending that much money, I'm sorry, but he's under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to pick my managers under pressure, I think Keith Andrews at Brentford is under a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure, even though they don't give enough tools. Like going to ask me to go play football and give me water in a basket to carry. You're losing all my best players. That's very difficult, right? So I think Keith Andrews, I think Farker, who has been with a couple of teams now and have gone down at Leeds under a lot of pressure, because Leeds fans believe they should be in the Premier League, even though the team said otherwise. I think Amarin is under a lot of pressure. He has to produce.
Kranky, at the time when Ten Hag was sacked, right? I think United was maybe 4 or 8 points off top 4, around 6 to 7, around that figure, right? Off top 4. I've seen in the last couple of seasons, Antonio Conte would have went to a bad Spurs team, finished in the top 4, right? I think Jose Mourinho got the job at one point, did well. Eddie Howe went into the winter transfer window, got some signings, did well. Unai Emery went to Aston Villa that was struggling in terms of being in the relegation zone and propelled them into the top 10, right? So Ruben Amorim has to show United.
The coach that went to Brentford was at the foot of the table.
That's when Thomas Frank went there?
Not Brentford, sorry.
Wolves.
Oh, yeah.
Pereira went to Wolves.
Wolves coach came when Wolves last 10 game opening at the foot of the table. And this one, the points that he amassed was 32 points, which was the 7th most points. If he had started the league at that point, he would have finished 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Amarin's going to be in a lot of pressure. First of all, I think Presser mentioned it earlier, which is you can't be a slave to a system that's not working well, right? And also, it's square peg in a round hole. It doesn't fit your system. So right now, if he plays 3 at the back still, Fernandes has to play deep. Fernandes can't play deep. He fakes defense. Sorry. So you play Agarte in the 6 and play Fernandes in the 8. I think you're going to have a challenging time because you got to play Cunha in the 10. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. You want to play Sesko and play Mbona right? Got to get somebody on the left. So what do you do with Diaby? You play him at wing back? Not the best defender. It's going to be interesting how United line up. They have good players. How they line up is interesting. But I do think Keith Andrews is going to be challenged. Falk are going to be challenged. And I think Amarin is going to be challenged. Arteta is under no pressure, except by fans. If you're an American owner and you're finishing in 8th place, and when you under Wenger, you're running, you made Champions League for years and years, and then you fell out. You spend a lot of money, but Arteta has the profile and the credit in the bank, finishing 3 times in 2nd place. If he makes Champions League, fans are going to lose their mind without a trophy because Ten Hag won 2 trophies. No matter what you say about Ten Hag, he won 2 trophies in 2 years and he got fired.
And just to point out, Kranky, United was in they sat 14th when Ten Hag was fired, right? With 7 points off top 4. Kranky, I'm sorry, finishing 17th is a sackable offense. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a sackable offense because you got to give the manager time to
Kranky,
have his players in his team.
United, come on, Kranky.
But for certain clubs, he wouldn't sack. Every Madrid he's gone. There is no doubt.
I know that you laughed after United last season.
But Barcelona is gone too. I don't think he stays at Barcelona.
Yeah, he probably gone. Look, I think he wanted to prove a point. He knew they weren't going to get relegated. He did some things to prove a point. He got rid of players to prove a point, right? The Rashards of the world. He had players who could help him. He didn't want him in his team because he wants to show he's the boss. Well, you know what? This year you got your team. If you don't finish in the top 10, you're gone. Because Man U fans are going to say, we have quality players now. The Haalands of the world who weren't playing well, and the Zerski of the world who can't score, you have excuses with those players. Cunha, Sesko, and Boima, 2 of the 3 are proven Premier League players. 1 costs over 60 mil. Sorry, but you have to produce. And you have Fernandes who's giving you 20-something goal contribution in a given year. You got to produce.
The thing as well, Kranky, Mbeumo himself isn't even a number 10 to that, right? He more plays off the right hand side. Bruno,
he's a right winger. He's a right winger.
Yeah, so Bruno obviously isn't at 8. So it's a risky thing in terms of how we proceed moving forward. So he has to get it right next season.
Bruno has to play the 8.
Yeah, I'm not saying he should win the league, but I'm just saying
Bruno not playing on defense. I'm telling you, Bruno fake defense. You watch Bruno play defense. He's gonna fly and cry. No, look, he's gotten better over the years, right? And him not going to Saudi Arabia, which I find amazing. I'm getting £1 million a week. I'm sorry.
But I think what's
going to fly? Where's the private jet to go to Saudi Arabia? I'm gone.
I think there was a recent report from, I think it was maybe David Arnstein or Ben Jacobs, that he's willing to give United 1 more season and then explore Saudi. So
I think it's the World Cup. It's the World Cup.
Yeah,
World Cup. He's going to be in the squad anyway. World Cup and no World Cup.
Kranky, when you look at that Portugal side, as good as Bruno Fernandes is, I'm not sure if he goes to Saudi Arabia, he makes the.
If Ronaldo go over there and score.
No, remember that's Cristiano Ronaldo,
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, but Ronaldo led the team, Kranky. So Bruno, regardless if he
That's true. So last item on the board, I will touch upon another topic of this. Young player of the season. I must go with 433 first, then CC. Young player of the season.
I mean, the young player of the season for me last season was
No, we're talking about this season coming up.
No, I'm just saying, MLS would have been the young player of the season for me last season. I think next season there's one player I have in mind. It's Tyler Diblin from Southampton. Well, that's if he gets a move to the Premier League, right?
Well, Everton want him, but they want 50 mils. I don't think anything.
Yeah.
First, you can't call one Chelsea player.
Like he's not calling the player yet. Let him finish.
Young player of the season. How many young players are out there in the Premier League right now?
There's a lot. Let me name some for you. Kobe Mainoo, Nwaneri, Lewis Kelly, Rico Lewis, Gittins, Euro. There's a lot of them.
I think if Ethan Nwaneri gets more game time in the Premier League, I'd say Ethan Nwaneri. Yeah, I would say him. I just think in terms of what I saw from him last season, the kid just looks like he's Kranky, I'm not going to say he looks as if he was playing for 6 or so many years, but he fits right into this Arsenal team, especially what he does creatively. Very technical, very fast, moves good into the spaces. The likes of Phil Foden and Cole Palmer, these are not young guys anymore. These are old people, right?
You have to be under 21 by January 1st, 2004. Yeah. So it's Sesko is 22, so he doesn't qualify.
So it's definitely Ethan in 1 year for me. If Liam Delap qualifies, then maybe Liam Delap as well. But I'd go with in 1 year.
Delap may qualify actually, or you could pick what's his name? Is he 24? Our boy Omari. Omari may still be on the 21. I gotta check.
No, I think 1 year.
Omari is going to Nottingham Forest for 37 mil.
Well, if the deal comes through, then yeah. But
Amari just missed it actually. Amari born October. He just missed it.
Or just missed it. So I'll go with Ethan in 1 year based on the players I can remember off the top of my head right now.
CC, who are you picking?
My boy Estavio William.
Okay. Any other player you think have a chance apart from Estavio?
I think apart from Estavio, I think Nwaneri has a chance as well. There's another player at Chelsea, but I'm not sure how much game he's going to get. But I think Romeo Lavia is 21 right now. Considering how much game time he would be in the midfielder. Lavia, Enzo, Caicedo. Depends how much game time. But I think Lavia too. I think I would have Lavia as well. I think Lavia is 21 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
What about the Liverpool 16-year-old who will get time this year? What's his name? Rio? Ngo Moha?
Oh, the Chelsea player.
No, Liverpool. Everybody's raving about him. He's what, 16?
Wasn't that player at Chelsea one time, Pressa?
He was at Chelsea and he went to Liverpool. He was at Chelsea, went to Liverpool. They all were at Chelsea at one point.
But there are two honorable mentions I want to mention, Kranky.
Okay.
Hopefully people can help me in the comment section. There's this kid from Tottenham. I think he played against United in a league game. He played on the right-hand side. I think he's a right winger. If anybody remembers him, drop the name in the comment section. Plays for Spurs on the right-hand side. Very, very young. But our next honorable mention for me is a guy from Burnley, Luca Coliocho. I think he can play for USA, Italy, and those countries. I saw him in the Prem a couple seasons ago, but he picked up an injury. But I think he's absolutely brilliant. I think City wanted him at one point in time. So for me, I think Luca Coliocho is right up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Estavio from Chelsea.
Okay.
If he gets enough game time, I think he's gonna be a phenom in the league. I still think Lewis Kelly, who still qualifies and has 2 more years to qualify, and Nwaneri, even though they're both Arsenal players, are gonna be part of that mix. I think Lenny Euro, who's still very young, also even though he's a defender, is gonna be in that mix.
How old is Milos Kerkez?
Good question. Maybe is he 22? Maybe about 22.
Because I think if Kerkez is young enough, I think Kerkez probably is in the strongest position because he's gonna start.
Kerkez is just missed it. Kerkez is November, and you have to be January 2004. It's November 20.
Oh, Kranky, the player I'm talking about is Odobert from Spurs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think Kerkez for me would have been the pivotal one because he's gonna start. He's gonna start most of the games.
So that's it, people. That's it for the list. Unless you guys have anything on your schedule you want to talk about. I'll mention a couple not reggae boy stuff, but players. Omari Hutchins, who has played for Jamaica before. supposed to be going for 37 mil to Nottingham Forest to replace, I guess, Ilanga, who has moved on to Newcastle. He went from Arsenal, nothing, to Chelsea. Chelsea sold him for about 20, and now he's going for 37. So Arsenal never sells anybody for any money. It's amazing how we operate. We just buy for a lot. We don't sell anybody for any money because 37 million pounds in about 2-3 years, which could have come out of Arsenal because we weren't playing young players then. But it's going to be a very, very interesting season. I do expect Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City to battle it out. I think Man U going to be better than people think. I think Newcastle is still going to be good, even though they may lose Isak. I think Villa will have a difficult time. They're selling Ramsey to Newcastle for 40-something mil, which is interesting. I'm not sure if Ramsey's going to play because that midfield is stacked, right? Between Guimaraes and Tonali and Joey Linton. I don't know how you get into that team unless you play up front as a starter. So it's going to be interesting where Ramsey gets to play. He play a pseudo left wing now for Villa. Leon Bailey's supposed to be going to Roma. That discussion is well out there and being discussed. Jamaica has some challenges because Oldgate doesn't have a team. He got released by Everton. Antonio doesn't have a team. I don't think he has a team yet.
I think Oldgate is in Qatar, right?
Yeah.
He got released by Everton. I don't know where he is, but
I think Oldgate has a team in Qatar, some Qatar league.
Okay, but he got released.
Yeah.
So you're going to play in a league that's not very competitive, which is not the best thing, right? Damari Gray's at Birmingham, so he's playing championship. So Jamaica situation doesn't look that great, frankly.
But Antonio has a team, you know.
Where is he going?
TNT.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I heard that he's working now. I think I heard that there's a query for which team that we're querying him, but I think I heard that he's working out with one of those teams that
the team from Italy
promoted. But I heard that a team Sampdoria,
yeah, Sampdoria.
He's interested in him, and I heard that he's working out with, I think, Sunderland.
Is Sampdoria still in Syria?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're still in Syria.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully he gets I think I would love for him to get a club because he would have came to Jamaica for a couple of
Well,
seasons.
they're actually not in the Syria again, so
I didn't think they were. Okay. Sampdoria, I think they're probably in the B, right? In Syria B or something.
Syria B.
So that's not a good look between Holgate. They're not playing at the top. We don't have a lot of Premier League players. There were some supposed to be coming in, frankly, but you want your players to be playing at the highest level in a very competitive environment. When they come in the window, it's not the best look for Jamaica, actually.
But even the last time, Kranky, in the Gold Cup, a lot of the players didn't have a club. Like you saw where a lot of the players they didn't really have a club. And I don't want to say a lot of the players, but it kind of was telling. And the players I think Oldgate was not there, but they said it was injury. But I figure it was to work out a deal to get to a club. Because Everton was releasing.
Well, that's why
Hayden wasn't there.
That's why Hayden went back.
Was because I saw that video on it, and I think it was because of a club business as well.
So Hayden went back to sort out a deal with a club
to sort out the situation, not necessarily a club to sort out with Newcastle and others. What he was doing.
So that in terms of the respect for the national team, then.
The question you asked, Presser, is a good one, which is why are you agents sorting all that? Why are you sorting that out? But who knows? We weren't given the right story. That's my understanding is that we're giving a lot of stories, Presser. We're giving a lot of stories.
Well, if that's the story, that's a clear disrespect to the national team.
That's what I'm telling you. That's why you guys think I was talking about we only had 2 midfielders. What do you think I was talking about from way back when we only had 2 midfielders going to the Gold Cup? Because I know Johnson was injured. I know Hayden was going back. And Busy wasn't a midfielder. We only had Russell. And we had Palmer. We didn't have any other midfielder.
So what we're doing with like Daniel Johnson? Is it like he's out in the cold now? Like
yeah, he's in the cold. He's in Siberia someplace.
Isn't his team qualified to back to the Turkey Super League? Because I think his team has gone up to the Super League now, the first league,
Yeah, I think the problem is that and not to digress into this, I'm sure going to close this down, but the coach doesn't know the players that are not part of the English circle, so he has to wait for other persons to give him information about who to pick. So you won't see a lot of Jamaican players like Stewart getting the team because somebody got to say they should be in the team the coach don't know them, right? So if that's the case, then you realize that's why you have problems with certain players not being a national team, who you may say is playing in some other league someplace, because the coach doesn't have the breadth of knowledge of the players that he should have as the coach. He only knows the players playing in England. He don't know the rest of the other players. It's very, very obvious.
I think seeing that the technical advisor has taken up the non-paying role, problem
is that better or worse?
It should be better because
we don't see certain players in the team. Nobody can convince me otherwise that Busy didn't get in the team because of certain association. You can't convince me otherwise.
Well,
and game put in this midfield because the forward line was full up. So you force him into the team. You can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah, but I think like Trevante Stewart, for example, he was suspended, I think the same time with Liam Bailey. So I'm not sure if
that was last year.
I know,
that's a year ago.
A year ago, I'm saying to you that I think he's scoring goals and everything. I think Trevante Stewart and Merit deserves a spot in the team. So
yeah, I've got a lot of persons who have reached out to me and talk about Trevante Stewart. I haven't seen him play in a while, so I can't comment. Yeah.
But let's see how it goes. As I say, Kranky, it's a problem because people talking about the 4 or 5 new players that is going to probably come in. What about the players that are there who they must not play football?
I don't know if all those players are coming in this window though. There are 4 or 5 players who will come in eventually. They may not all come this window. They have to get their papers, right? So they may come in the next window.
The one player that I'm curious about is Jonathan Rowe. That's the player that I'm curious about.
Jonathan Rowe got his papers on his own. Jonathan Rowe, I think, is interested in England, not Jamaica.
So that's not wrong if you get the papers by your one.
There's some other things behind that.
So I think Jonathan Rowe is going to come. I'm going to tell you when Jonathan Rowe is going to come. When Jamaica qualify for the World Cup. But anyway.
So, what do you think about Kranky? The EU thing is behind the Jonathan Rowe acquisition of the...
Yeah. It's all EU.
Okay.
It's all EU. Look, he has the heritage, so...
What about Mason Greenwood? That's the same.
I am not going to talk about Mason Greenwood. I am saying nothing about Mason Greenwood, people. That's off the list. I'm not talking anything about Mason Greenwood.
But Rogo come when you qualify for the World Cup.
The question is, will you want him, right? Because there's a lot of push to say we should only bring players who get us there.
I would take him because the point of it is that once he comes,
he's getting better. Actually, I watched him play the game the other day.
Yeah. But once he comes, he can't go back. So I will take him, and he's young enough, so it's not like he's going to retire like with the other guy when they come in and then go retire. So
well, it goes back to my point. You see me do the program the other day, right? When I talked about Cameron Eubanks and O'Shea Ellis, the 2 players who put in their papers to Pika 2 years ago, still can't get their papers. 2 very good midfielders, won the under 21 for Birmingham, and are looking to push forward with their careers. And I had good discussion with their parents about it. In fact, I spoke to the parents today, actually, because they talked to me about the program I did. And a lot of frustration on their part around the inability for them to obtain the documentation. And here's what's funny about that. Eubanks' mother, Cameron Eubanks' mother, she's born in Jamaica. It's not like, this one generation down. She was born in Jamaica. So it should be, I was in the same situation. It's not difficult to get it, but apparently if you go to England and went to Birmingham, it's a nightmare. 2 years now, still haven't heard anything back.
Yeah, because they tell you that the process is easy if you come to Jamaica.
Yeah, so that's part of what people should be thinking about. And for some people, it's prohibitive, right? Whether because of work or money-wise, it's not that easy to go to Jamaica to get your papers. If you're from England. If you're in the US, you can wait till you get a fare for $200-something or $300 to go to Jamaica. It's not that easy from England, where it's a 9-hour flight and it costs a lot of money. Even though those individuals have a lot of family in Jamaica. So my hope is that their situation will work out. People in PICA, somebody may even listen to this program, may hear it and look them up and try to get their papers sorted. Because they're still just, 18, 19 years old. They both of them are midfielders. We're dying for midfielders. They could be good enough to play. Who knows? And they would have been part of that under-20 team that got that's the infamous under-20 team. That's what they were trying to come to. And one of them, Cameron, actually is the vice captain, probably the captain now for the under-21. And they won the Premier League 2 under-18 competition with Birmingham. So they're decent players. They're trained with the Birmingham first team. They should be considered.
As I said
going
before,
forward.
Kranky, it's a twofold thing. Our recruitment and our development is not at the place that it should be. in terms of how we develop players and how we recruit players. It's not at the place that it should be. Otherwise, Jamaica would be better off than where we are right now.
Yeah, well, no, we're not trying to recruit. Look, I think at some point, Jamaica is not going to change. I was just thinking about it's not going to change. I mean, the parish presidents control the JFF, who are beholden to the parish presidents. It's a cycle. It's a circle. It's one hand washes the other. It ain't going to change. JFF can't do anything with the parish president's approval. Parish presidents need the JFF to supply them with funds to carry out their business. And so, therefore, it's not going to change. It ain't going to change. Because they need to have their players from their location being in the national team. So it's a circle that's not going to change. Kranky, you and XY is not going to like. What is he talking about? What are you drinking? What is he talking about? Where did this come from? We just make up stuff, don't we, Romain? We just make up stuff. Apparently, Romain, you don't spend too much time on his channel, so you don't know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Greenwood couldn't be old enough for England because he's not going to be pick for England. Like, they're not going to pick him. Like, that door is closed right there. Especially, look at the bust up between him and Tyrone Mings. That even make it worse. I don't think even that bust up between him and Tyrone Mings. I don't even think like Mings is now a fixture in the England team. If he's a sure pick for England, Tyrone Mings. So how would that cope with him playing in a team with Mings and that?
Mings is not a sure pick. Mings may go, but he's not a sure pick.
But as you like you said, Kranky, it is my understanding that Greenwood, I'll leave it at that. Yeah. It's my understanding that, Yeah,
I don't have any understanding. I'm not that smart. All I'll say is that it should be an interesting window come September. That's all I'll say. Interesting window come September. We have two very difficult games. I did think about coming to Jamaica in a CC, but I may change my mind. I don't know yet. I gotta go on a plane. He's not looking forward to that. Dr. Dan saying the JFF showed do a blast email and say everyone who's eligible for Jamaica. No, they're not doing that. Are you out of your mind, Dr. Dan? They probably get too many requests. Then they gotta figure out how to get the local players in.
Yo, right now, this is probably outside of football though, but they probably FIBA needs to change that rule, Kranky.
Which one?
The 16.
Oh yeah, you mean for the basketball?
Yeah, the 16-year-old rule is built to protect big countries like America.
That's true.
And hurt the other countries in the process.
I think it will change eventually because if you like FIFA one, that's why FIFA. Yeah, they have to change it.
Yeah, the rule have to change.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a program on FIBA on the Jamaica basketball team at some point. No, Norman Powell was sick and probably wasn't gonna play going forward, but they lost to Mexico, didn't they? Badly.
Yeah, but I think that was deliberate too because we avoided the group with USA in it.
You never know.
We got the lesser of the two evil. We got Canada.
Right. Yeah. No. I think I close the program up by saying this. A couple of things. One is, I think Jamaica has the potential to have a very, very good team if we get a coach who is invested in the country and the team. Can't get a coach who want to work part-time. Secondly, Jamaica is in desperate need for leadership. And third, part of that leadership would be a technical director to run. Either you have one for the women and one for the men, or one that run the football overall. But Jamaica is in desperate need for technical director. We have a head of the technical committee. He's not a technical director, even though he operates that way. They need a technical director badly. And they need to go out and search for somebody. I know it's expensive, but they got to figure it out. Because the football ain't going to progress until somebody's overseeing the football, develop a system and style of play, have the strategic mind to really think about how football should operate in the country, what works best for Jamaica, and have the youth come up to a system where when they elevate or matriculate to the national team, it's seamless, right? The way it goes now, it's not the right approach. And the recruiting process is awful. Or I shouldn't say it's awful. There's no recruiting process. So anyway, Pressa, CC, appreciate your time, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Hopefully not the last time. We'll do this again at some point. Maybe we'll come back mid-season and see how our predictions were. And if we prognosticate things really well, or we just guessing about what we're doing. And those in the chat, thanks for being here. Before you leave, hit the like button, share, subscribe, and please go to my website and subscribe to ssnnlive.com. Quality articles. All right, people? Bless up. Thanks, guys. Peace out. Kranky Life is the place to be now for the best sports talk, and it's free, yo. Kranky Life will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Kranky Life, tell them. Kranky Life, heed them. Kranky Life, want them. Kranky Life. From the courts to the field, we'll never lose because Kranky has the hottest news. With expert analysis, we break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Kranky Life, tell them. Kranky Life, heed them. Kranky Life, want them. Kranky Life. Kranky Life, where the sports is spicy and where we keep the discussion lively. Kranky Life, get to know the name because Kranky analysis is never lame. Kranky Life, give me my Kranky Life. I want my Kranky Life. Must have my Kranky Life. Whether it's football or track and field, you know Kranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and defeat and subscribe and don't miss a beat of Kranky Life. Tell them, Kranky Life. Heed them, Kranky Life. Want them, Kranky Life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Kranky Life. Tune into Kranky Life. Like up Kranky Life. Subscribe to Kranky Life. Kranky Life coming to you on weekdays. Kranky Life sometimes on Sundays. Pull up a chair and take a seat because Kranky will always bring the heat. Kranky Life. Me say fi tell them Kranky Life. Me say fi heed them Kranky Life. On them Kranky Life. Kranky Life will be around. Kranky Life is the best in town. Me say fi heed them. Me say fi want them. Me say fi heed them. Want them, heed them, want them. Kranky Life. Kranky Life. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them. Kranky Life. Kranky Life. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them. Kranky Life. Kranky Life. Kranky. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them. Heed. Want. Heed. Want. Heed them.